Hello everyone, welcome to our Spartan Ops coverage of the Halo 4 game. We did some campaign earlier with Fumo Jive, we did the Dawn mission, and now we're going to be talking about Spartan Ops. And for the whole Spartan Ops experience, I am actually going to be joined by someone that we had on the show before. He helped us out with the live action machinima Forward Unto Dawn, and he is Chris, aka Sal, aka HaloFanForLife. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me again.
Not a problem. We enjoyed you so much. We were on for Forward Unto Dawn that we wanted to have you back for Spartan Ops. So here you are.
Thank you.
And we've actually been kind of co-opting a document together, and it's taken about a month and a half so far. It's almost done.
It's well worth it, though.
Yeah. I mean, not to belittle HaloFanForLife over here. I've done most of the grunt work for this, and then he's kind of helped me along the way, kind of point out some things, mainly for the podcast that we're going to do now. So I thought I'd kind of help return the favor and have him on to help cover this. So we're going to talk about episode 1 for this episode, which is called Departure. So as you guys know, the first 5 episodes came with the game, and now we are going to be looking at each episode individually in this part of kind of mini-series, similar to what we're doing with the campaign. So let's go into the CGI scene first. This is our intro into Spartan Ops, and we first see Majestic Team flying out from Earth on a Pelican to go aboard Infinity for their missions all the way over in Requiem, far, far away from Earth. So we see Team Majestic being comprised of Paul DeMarco, Madsen, I don't know if we have a first name.
Not yet that I've heard.
Yeah. Hoya, Tedra Grant, and Gabriel Thorne. So Paul DeMarco is pretty much the fire team lead for Fireteam Majestic. And we'll see him quite a bit throughout the Spartan Ops experience. And Gabriel Thorne is going to be the other kind of big character for Fireteam Majestic. So these are the 2 characters that you guys want to really look out for when you're playing through Spartan Ops. So Team Majestic is kind of chatting about some stuff that's happened, some of the stuff that happened when the Didact was composing some of Earth, I believe.
Yeah, New Phoenix.
Yeah, New Phoenix, that was it. So they were talking about that, and Gabriel Thorne actually had some family there, so he was kind of emotionally affected by some of the stuff that happened from the Didact. So we'll learn later on kind of some motivation behind him wanting to go on this mission back to Requiem. So once Fireteam Majestic gets on board Infinity, they pile out of the Pelican, and they see a female Spartan on deck, and of course DeMarco and we kind of pick up this demeanor as we see the initial conversations that they have on the Pelican, but kind of tries to hit on Sarah Palmer there for a little bit until she pretty much comes out and says that she's commander of all the Spartan fire teams, and at which point he pretty much snaps to and kind of straightens up there for a second. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. She puts him in his place pretty quick.
Yeah. And it's more like she acknowledges what he's trying to do and then just kind of pulls out the superiority card and then he kind of feels a little embarrassed afterwards.
Yeah.
Which is kind of different from the Spartan 2s if you think about it. We're kind of digging into lore here, but if you look at the Spartan 2 program that Halsey put together, there was never a hierarchy of Spartans. They were always the same ranking. They were always put in teams, and then they had team leaders. But there was never this kind of military hierarchy where we have Sarah Palmer, who's actually a commander, and I don't know what the ranks of the other Spartans are, but it's definitely a lower rank. So they've really started to break out into actual
rank structure.
Yeah. Where with the original Spartans with Master Chief, they really didn't have that before.
Yeah,
they were all considered equal.
Petty officers there, and they were all really close in rank, so there wasn't as big of a differentiation.
Right. So that's kind of one important distinction to note about the Spartan IV is they're a lot more human than the original Spartans were.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So after this whole kind of thing between DeMarco and Commander Palmer, she escorts them off the deck, and then she pays a visit to Commander Lasky, who's on the bridge.
Now Captain Lasky.
Captain Lasky, yep. So she goes to the command deck, and they make small talk, and do you want to kind of branch out here on what this may or may not mean?
Their talk, you mean?
Yeah, just kind of how they... Because you kind of really pointed me to it when we were playing, or when we were watching the cutscene.
Oh, kind of like their
relationship.
Professional nature?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not at this point, but certainly later on, they call each other by first name basis. It definitely seems like there's more to it than just she being the commander of the Spartans and he being the captain of the Infinity. This early on, I don't know if we get a whole lot of that you see, but you get a little feeling, of there being just a little something off or extra,
right,
in the military relationship.
Well, and you've never really seen Spartans really talk. Yeah. Talk to humans or other Marines or other military in that regard.
It's not like the Spartan IIs are emotionally devoid. However, their military upbringing is, much
a lot more structured.
Spartan IVs, right? So, they really weren't given much opportunity to explore the emotional aspects of things, whereas Spartan IVs, clearly they were regular humans before and have been augmented, but they weren't kids when they were augmented. They were adults, so they've already had experiences in life, and that's what I find kind of a little strange too. I don't want to go too far off topic here, but it was something that we had kind of learned early on through Bungie, that there really weren't supposed to be Spartans that were made from adult humans, because of these kinds of social interactions that could inhibit their ability to, make a full impact, and really follow the letter of the military law. But, obviously that decision's been changed. So now we're seeing what these new versions of Spartans can do, but also what their prior lives bring to their ability to be Spartans. So this kind of interaction that Palmer has with Lasky, and even in the campaign, the brief little smile, that she said to, or the comments that she said to Master Chief, show you that we're dealing with a whole new brand of Spartans.
Right. So something to look out for. It kind of reminds me of what when Dr. Halsey was being interrogated at the beginning of the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
When the interrogator was asking about her abducting children, and then you brought up the social behaviors, and she comes back and says their records indicate that they operate efficiently.
Right. Yeah.
And that as kids, they're more subjective to indoctrination and more, like if they could handle the augmentations, that it made them that much better than if they were actual adults.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess when you're at a child's age, you're still developing, and you can take take on those augmentations a lot easier, and then as you're developing, it kind of just merges with the rest of your body. I don't know. I'm not
Right.
I'm not a biologist or anything.
Yeah, no, that's kind of the gist of it, because by the time you've reached adulthood, your body has grown as much as it's going to. So when you try to incorporate all these other things that they do, with all the augmentations, it is a bit rougher, and it takes longer for them to adjust to that. Whereas the kids, their bodies are continuing to develop, and it just becomes a natural progression for them. So
right.
Yeah.
Cool. So on the command deck, we see pretty much them trying to figure out if it's time for the Spartans to really go out and take the fight to the Covenant on Requiem. Lasky comes out and tells Palmer that, was it the Navy? Yeah. The Navy is pretty much ready for the Spartans to go out and start winning this battle on Requiem.
Mm-hmm.
And during this whole thing, Spartan Palmer actually mentions putting the Spartans through more war games. So we actually have now a direct tie between war games and the storyline of Halo 4.
Right.
So I think that's the first official time that we've seen multiplayer connected to the campaign.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me too. And I like that she called it war games directly. Like, it wasn't like some other reference. It was a direct reference.
Yep. So that was good to see. Before they get to Requiem, a few minutes before, Spartan Palmer goes to the suiting room of the Spartans, get suited up. And this is kind of one of the cool parts of this whole first CGI scene, is seeing all the Spartans get their suits put on. So Spartan Palmer gives the pep talk and kind of describing the situation on Requiem, and has the witty one-liner at the end as Infinity comes out of slip space and rams into a Covenant capital ship.
Yeah. Well, it's also one of our first glimpses of her kind of being, outside of the campaign itself, kind of
being the boss.
A little cocky. She's the boss, but she's a little cocky too. That line that she says about ladies and other Spartans. I know that's rubbed some people the wrong way, but
that's very very militaristic. So it's not. I don't find that really out of character for someone in her position.
Okay.
I don't know. It just seems like it fits really well.
Well, we're going to learn more about her too as we go along.
Right. So, but that pretty much ends the CGI portion of it, the first episode, which gives us at least it gives us some groundwork into what's going to be going on through Spartan Ops. So it was, all in all, the CGI and just the facials and all the graphics that they put into this is really, really well done.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree there. It sets up the story real nice.
Mm-hmm.
It does move things along. There's a little bit of character development. It's not super long, but then it's not so short that you're wondering, what's going on.
Yeah, well, almost all the CGI parts really aren't. They're about just the right length.
Yeah.
Not too long, not too short.
A bit longer, but, but for the sake of them having a weekly episode, I can see them being this length, and I'm actually fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it easier for me, too, because I'm doing those comic books for each one.
I'm just surprised that these were rendered in the same game engine. They're whenever you watch them, they're not in engine. They're actual movies that have been exported, or videos that you're watching. But still, to see that it's in the same engine,
mm-hmm.
It looks really, really good.
It does look really good. And I think, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, if you take a look at Lasky and Palmer in the campaign versus them in Spartan Ops, I think that they went back, revisited, and redid them a little bit because they look better, I think, in Spartan Ops.
I was about to say the same thing. They do look more fleshed out in Spartan Ops.
Yeah.
And that was probably just because they were actually able to go back and do it before the game.
Right.
Like they probably had the campaign done before they had all these cutscenes for Spartan Ops done.
Right.
That'd be my guess.
Yeah, mine as well. And I like it. They look, they look really well done and then pretty realistic.
Oh yeah, like there were certain parts where it's like, wow, I have to go back and remember. This is actually computer generated. I'm not watching something that's real, and with just CG overlays. This is all CG.
Right.
So they did a really good job. But enough of the CGI stuff and on to the gameplay of episode 1. So each episode has 5 chapters, and jumping into the first one, it's pretty much just kind of an introduction mission into what Spartan Ops is going to be. Chapter 1, of course, is called Land Grab. UNC Joint Operations let me say it a little bit clearer. UNSC Joint Operations begun on Requiem as Infinity mass deploys Spartan Navy, Marine, Army, and Air Force units. So that is Chapter 1.
It's on the map Quarry.
Yep, on the map Quarry, and your objective is to neutralize Covenant forces. So what you're going to be doing for this first chapter is you land in a little cove that you can, that with a big rock in front of you. If you played the campaign, it's, what level is that?
Reclaimer?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'll look it up here in a second. But what you have is Covenant are in kind of the valley that's on the other side of this big rock, and you can pick in either direction. You can either go off to the right and flank Covenant that way. There'll be some foot troops like elites and jackals that you can go through, or you can go directly to the left and kind of go for some vehicles to start off with. So
and either way you choose is fine. It's not like one is right versus the other one. That's the good thing about this, is it leaves your options open to play the mission how you want to.
Right.
I suggest trying both ways and see which one works for you.
Mm-hmm. If you're one to I will say if you go to the left, there is a wraith you can pick up, which, in my opinion, since you have a wraith, you can pretty
certainly
much.
If you're playing by yourself and you're not playing in Spartan Ops matchmaking, that's a good way to go because it's a more powerful vehicle. I personally prefer to go to the right when I'm playing with others because you've got those 3 warthogs at the beginning: a regular one, a rocket hog, and a Gauss hog, and that Gauss hog just tears things up. And, I like getting somebody in that and gunning for me, or somebody driving and I'll be the gunner. And you can tear things up. And that's actually, in my opinion, better than the Wraith because it's more maneuverable and has just as powerful of a shot, or close enough. But again, that's the good thing about this, is it gives you so many options. You can take a warthog at the beginning. You can jack a ghost. You can get the race. You can go left or right. You can go right up the rock if you got a jetpack, or even jump up there. There's a lot of different things you can do. So that's the good thing about this.
Right. And there's quite a bit of this throughout some of the other levels too, where you can pick a path that you want to go. I know another map that's good for that is the Refuge. Whenever you go into that back room, you can usually pick which exit you want.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some other maps that when we get to them, we'll let you know where those are. So your first area that you're going to take out is a group of Covenant that's sitting up on top of that rock. There's I think there's an elite with a fuel rod.
Yeah.
That you need to take out. So once you take out that first area, you're going to be pushing deeper past some sniper towers. There's going to be a little
core.
Yeah. Huh? Wait, what?
There's a power core.
Yeah. So there's by the sniper towers, there's some power cores they got to take out. And then what you're going to be doing is you go deeper into the quarry and take out the rest of the power cores and defeat the Covenant, and then you get pulled out for extraction. So this one is, it takes a little while to get through, but the objective is really simple, just kind of introducing you into the field of Spartan Ops, more or less.
I think they did a really good job with it too. It's a straight up mission. The map is large enough, that you can get a good lay of the land if you're far enough away. If you're, you can, like I was talking before about the different paths you can take. There's some hills as you're heading down towards the quarry. You can head up high on the left and really get a good bird's eye view of the rest of the map. So again, it gives you plenty of choices there. But yeah, it's a good mission to start with, certainly, and a good introduction into Spartan Ops.
Yeah. One thing that you mentioned while we were playing this and doing our notes that you wanted me to bring up was the part where you could assassinate the grunts.
Yes.
So as you're coming back out of the quarry part, back into that first area where you took out the Covenant on that big hill, there will be grunts actually running away from you. And if you go up and just assassinate them all, you get, 3 or 4, maybe more that you can get towards your assassination commendation.
Easily, yes. Yeah. Yes.
So there are some commendations that will actually be achievable in Spartan Ops and multiplayer. So I think only the enemy class types are specific to Spartan Ops, and then there's a few overlays. So like some vehicle ones are overlaid, the assassination ones are overlaid. Is there any other one that you can think of that really sticks out?
Yes. Well, let's see. I mean, again, Wheelman. Killing with certain weapons is matchmaking, is war games only.
Yeah, so that's war games
only. That's the one thing to keep in mind whenever you're playing Spartan Ops. It doesn't matter what you kill them with. Don't worry about trying to go for specific kinds of kills with weapons. But certainly the assassinations, there's a difference between war games and Spartan Ops. In war games, it's assassinations. In Spartan Ops, it's called backstab. It's still an assassination, but it's a different name for it. So that's just
really?
Yeah.
Huh. Wonder if they intended to do that.
I don't know.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's something to bear in mind as well.
Okay. Second chapter is called Sniper Alley.
Before we get to that,
okay.
Just quickly, I have the stats for one of my particular games I played on that mission, and just to make note. Of course, you're only fighting Covenant, and this particular mission is very good for getting Imperial and Storm grunts, and then from there it starts to dwindle down. So if you're looking for a map or a mission rather to kill grunts, this would be a good one. Grunts and then elites from there. Okay,
cool. Yep. Do you have these for every chapter, or?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Second chapter is Sniper Alley, like I just said. Covenant operations are reliant on several power stations around Requiem. This is on the map Sniper Alley, of course, and your objective is to disrupt the Covenant energy supply. So what's happening on here is Covenant have found a way to siphon off power from Requiem, and it's kind of powering some of their bases, and what you're going to be doing is going in and taking out their power supply. So you start off at the top of quote-unquote Sniper Alley, at the top of this kind of elongated bridge structure that comes out of a canyon. And your first objective is a series of shield doors they have to take out in order to get to this power core thing that they're pulling power off of. So you take out your first section of Covenant, and there's a couple of turrets on either side by the shield doors, and then after you do that, Spartan Miller will give you the waypoints on where all of the shield switches are. Right. So there's 2 of those that you have to do in order to get all the way down to the bottom of Sniper Alley. Once you get to the second shield door, though, you want to hold off turning off the shield and actually go over as far to the right as you can. What you can do is take out some of the sniper... there's a couple of jackal snipers and other shield jackals that you can take out and kind of make it easier for you as you finally descend from the rest of the canyon.
Yes. And by the way, I posted the last chapter and this chapter, specific tactics like that on my site. And there's a map on there that shows that and the path that I take. And I definitely go over that it's really important, especially if you're playing that on Legendary, to take those jackals out, because if you hit the shield controls, not only are you going to have to contend with those snipers and the other jackals, but then you're going to also have to contend with more enemies as they drop. So why take on more than you have to? Take out those jackals first.
Right. And it's not like there's a lot of jackals. I think you can only take out about 6 or 7, but every little bit counts at this point.
Yes.
Especially if you're playing on Legendary.
Yes. Those snipers can be deadly on Legendary.
Yeah, they're not the ones that you really want to kind of go up against. Most of the time, they'll shoot you once as you're entering a new section, but once they see you after that, you're screwed.
Yeah. You could get hit and not even know where it came from.
Right. There's some other levels where there's more jackals up there, and you just poke your head out once, and you have about 3 or 4 of them sniping at you, and you're guaranteed to die at that point.
Yeah.
I remember a few times, and this isn't this episode, but I remember a few times where it's like I go around the corner and like, oh, I'm dead.
Right.
Well, thanks for warning me.
Yeah, there's no warning whatsoever.
Yeah. So after you take out the jackals, activate the switch to take out the shield door. Oh, one thing I should have mentioned before. Specifically on this map, it's important to note where the weapon crates are. There's some other maps, or most of the other maps, where you just kind of walk around and you can find where the weapon crates are for UNSC weapons. On this map, in particular, they are kind of strategically placed. So the first one is off to the right behind the turret for the first shield door. The second one is on top of the platform where you activate the switch. The next one is at the bottom of the bridge, the little elbow bridge, and it's in that back left corner right before you take the ramp that goes off.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can make your way all the way down throughout the rest of the canyon. There's another weapon crate in that small rocky area before you hit the final canyon down there.
That's right. There is.
And then in the last area, you'll actually get reinforcements delivered from Infinity. It's a rocket launcher, a sniper, and a railgun. And there's actually a weapon ammo crate down there as well. So you can use those to take out the elites, because there are quite a few elites. You can take out the grunts and the jackals with some of the weapons that you probably already brought down before, like DMRs, assault rifles, battle rifles, anything you start out with in your loadout. But those snipers, railguns, and rockets are going to be really useful in taking out all of those elites.
I concur.
Yep. So after you take out all the Covenant, you're going to mark the power core, and then you're going to run away so you don't get shot from Infinity, and then you're done with that mission.
Yes.
Pretty straightforward for that one.
Right.
I have a feeling this is going to be our shortest episode, and then subsequent ones are going to be just longer and longer and longer.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep this one to 30 minutes as much as possible, but we're about to hit the 30-minute mark.
Wow.
Which is going to be interesting for the future ones here.
Right. Well, again, on this one, this is another one that's good for grunts and jackals. Looking at my stats for a mission that I did, there were 41 storm grunts, 27 imperial grunts, 24 storm jackals, and then it really starts to dwindle from there. But just pointing that out, then again, if you want to get grunts and jackal kills, this is a good mission for that.
Cool. Chapter 3: The Challenge. Spartan fire teams are engaging enemy forces across Requiem. Enemy forces are surprisingly resilient. This is on the map, the fortress, and the objective is to work in tandem with Fire Team Majestic. What you're doing here is you're going to 2 identical bases. If you played the campaign, these are bases from the mission Forerunner. They're the towers that get you up to the beam pylons whenever you go and deactivate the shields around the Didact's quote-unquote tomb.
Right.
So the tower is very similar to that with the 3 bases around it. So you're being paired up with Fire Team Majestic, who's at another identical site. And when you first drop down, you realize, or you get a radio comm in from Fire Team Majestic saying that they haven't been able to contact Infinity. So your first order of business is to go around and figure out where the jammer is that's blocking your communications with Infinity. And of course, this is the first time in Spartan Ops that we see Promethean enemies, where we see crawlers around here. So what you're going to do is you're going to go deactivate the comm jammer, and then you'll reestablish communication with Infinity, and then they'll provide more kind of support from outer space. Once you do that, there are going to be some towers that you need to deactivate.
Mm-hmm.
and they're part of a comm array.
Let me suggest that before you go hitting those things, take out all the enemies, because otherwise you're going to have to contend with the enemies that you didn't kill, plus a whole bevy of more enemies once you activate things. So I think it's really important that you take your time and kill those enemies off first.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. Sounds pretty solid to me as well. So there are at the 3 bases there are the 3 kind of comm ports that you need to go and deactivate, and Spartan Palmer at this point is kind of making a game of this, is who can most quickly eliminate all the forces and take out all the comm towers. So of course, being Fire Team Crimson, you're the best, and you finish the job before they do.
Which, of course, DeMarco is not very happy with.
Right. So, well, he'll have his chance later, maybe. We'll see. So, after you get all of the comm arrays, clean up the rest of the Prometheans, and you will receive some, I think, a single rocket launcher supply drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's from where you initially spawn, that's going to be over to your left.
That's correct.
So.
On the ground.
Yep, on the ground. Which, I guess most of the rest of the enemies are going to be on the ground anyway. There's not many up on that final tower.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so after you get all the comm arrays and take all the Prometheans, you are set. So what stats we got for this one?
This one actually is it's all crawlers and watchers. It's mostly alpha crawlers, which I had at 28 kills, 26 kills on watchers, and then 24 regular crawlers. The ones that, not just with this mission, but any other mission, the crawler that seems to be the hardest to come across is the sniper crawler. And in here, there were only...
That's probably a good reason.
Well,
it's a pain to fight. If you want
to get that commendation up, then it's going to be tough. So right here is our first opportunity to see any version of the crawlers and watchers. So certainly if you want to work on those, this is a good mission for that, except for the fact that there's not a whole lot of sniper crawlers.
Right.
But they're each in the mid-20s and higher, with the exception of the sniper ones. So it's good. It's a fairly easy mission. Pretty straightforward. I personally like to stay up high on the main tower and only jump down when I need to.
Right, and it's even more helpful when you have more people to play with.
Oh, absolutely.
Spartan Ops is definitely a cooperative experience.
I think so. And it's just fun that way, too, I think.
Yeah. Although it is a nice challenge to see if you can do it on your own.
Certainly.
Chapter 4 is Sacred. Infinity Science requests a Spartan fire team scout a suspicious structure. Caution advised. This is on the map The Refuge, and the objective is to explore the facility. So what you're doing as Fire Team Crimson is going in and checking out the area, making sure it's all safe before science teams go in. And, of course, since you're going in and you're playing it, there's obviously something that's going to go on. So for the storyline part of this, Spartan Palmer's is really impressed with how you're performing, so she is sending you off on her little special assignments. So this is kind of your first special one, since you kind of outdid Fireteam Majestic. So right now, you're special.
Feels good to be special.
Indeed it does. So the first thing that you're going to see in this first map is there's pretty much no one there. So there is... at first, it seems all hunky-dory. It's all going to be fine and everything. But Spartan Miller radios in and says that there are some power fluctuations, which means there's been some activity here recently. So your first waypoint is to the very, very back of the facility.
Of course.
Of course. You have to make the long trek in.
It could never be near the front where you're first delivered at. No, it's got to be all the way in the back.
All the way back there. And I think just about every time you play on this map, it's all the way on the other side of the map where you spawn.
It is.
Every single time. So what you're doing is you go back and you find the star map and you end up activating it and downloading it or uploading it to Infinity, and they do what they want with it. And then as soon as you activate it, you get Well, actually, just before you activate it, there's a couple of crawlers that pop up, and then right after you activate it, there's more crawlers that pop up.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the information from the star map, and then Spartan Palmer is pretty much satisfied with it. So they're trying to get you out for extraction, but when you try to exit that little back room, guess what's standing in your way? Oh, a nice little Promethean knight.
Mm-hmm. And this is your first opportunity to meet against them in Spartan Ops.
So I think 343 did a really good job with kind of introducing you to Spartan Ops, because the first one we had the Covenant, and just it was very wide open, and the tactics and the objectives were very straightforward. The second one,
they were also similar to what we've already played through in other Halo games, so that familiarity makes it easy for you to kind of adjust to Spartan Ops.
Right. The second one was just kind of a continuation of that, kind of giving you a feel for a different kind of environment. And then Chapter 3 was the introduction of Prometheans in general. And then Chapter 4 was the introduction of Promethean Knights, and so on and so forth. So going back to what actually happens in Chapter 4, you fight your way through a bunch of Prometheans. There's plenty of their waves that come up. I want to say there's at least maybe 10, 12 knights by the time you're done fighting them all. Possibly more.
Yep, 12.
So
my stats 12.
But you don't have to kill all of them off to begin with, but once you try to get to the entrance where you first came in, the doors close, stuff starts to move around a little bit, and Palmer's like, where'd their exit go? And Miller's like, I don't know, don't blame me, I didn't do anything. So he finally figures out where the switch is to open their exit up. So you have to go around, go to the switch, which is kind of booby-trapped, because once you get there, a whole nother set of Prometheans spawn, including a knight, and I think that knight is a scattershot knight. So yes, you got to watch out what you're doing before you go activate that switch.
Absolutely. Now, the good thing is the enemies that you fight previous to that, there is a knight that has an incineration cannon. So if you take him out,
yes,
grab his incineration cannon, then when you go to activate that switch, it actually it's pretty easy then, as long as you stay far enough away. And that's a key piece of information. If you got that incineration cannon, make sure you're not too close when you hit the enemies.
Oh, yes.
Those bouncing balls of fury, or whatever you want to call them, can come back to hit you and bite you in the ass, and you'll die.
Yep. I've done that in just war games.
Yeah.
I think everyone's probably done that at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But that knight, just to note, is one of the knights that spawn right by the door that you're supposed to go exit through. So if you don't get to that part before the knight moves around a lot, then it's going to take a little bit to figure out which knight has the incineration cannon. But you can also tell by kind of how their back is styled. And when we do our video walkthrough, we'll show you what that looks like as well.
Right.
But once you go activate the switch, the door opens up, and then there's another set of knights and crawlers that spawn inside that door area. I think there's another 2, maybe 3 knights, and they will actually spawn watchers. So they'll go around and revive all their buddies.
So it's very key to take those watchers out.
Exactly.
I say that really for any part of Spartan Ops and campaign as well.
Well, it seems to be a lot.
But with them being able to revive the enemies, that can be a problem.
Yeah, and it seems to be, at least to me, it seems to be a lot more important in Spartan Ops than campaign to really take out those watchers. Mm-hmm. Just because the sheer numbers of enemies, I think, is greater in Spartan Ops than it was in the campaign.
Absolutely.
And that's for a reason.
Right.
So once you take out all the Prometheans, and it's safe for the scientists to come in, you can go to your evac point. So give us the stats on this one.
Well, this one, again, it's all Prometheans. And really the only things that are good for this is regular crawlers and alpha crawlers. It is your first opportunity to meet up against knights, but the total of them is 12, so it's not really a ton. So I would suggest not using this mission if you want to go for knights. It's really more just a crawler thing.
Yep. Okay, last chapter for this episode is Chapter 5, which is Core. Covenant archaeological teams operating on Requiem are searching for something. Infinity Command wants to know what. Map is Cauldron, and your objective is to interrupt the Covenant dig. This is the map that was played everywhere before Halo 4 came out. This was played at E3. This was played at PAX. This was played at RTX, I think. So this was the poster child for Spartan Ops.
And it was a good one to do it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to play.
Let me add in here. I know you have this towards the end in your notes, but if you don't mind me bringing it up quickly.
Okay.
This is also the mission that Mega Bloks, a licensor of Halo toys, they played as well, this particular mission. And because of that, they based one of their building block sets for Halo off of that mission. And it's called Cauldron Clash, and it's going to be coming out here, I believe, within the month. So that's something to look forward to if you're into building toys. Believe me, the Mega Bloks Halo stuff is fantastic. And that set includes a Promethean, 2 crawlers, a Promethean, a Watcher, which actually does fit into the Promethean's back, the Knight that is, and it has a Spartan and a Marine as well. So it's a really cool set that's based off this mission, and it's something to look into. Even if you're not necessarily a building toy person, but you want something to have visually outside of the game that's Spartan Ops, this is a set for you.
That's really cool. The only downside to those sets, like Mega Bloks and Legos, and there's other kind of like the brick things out there, is that they're just so expensive when you go to buy them all. Like, I looked at the one that they had for Forward Unto Dawn, I believe.
Oh, well, now that's a special case, man. That's their biggest Halo set to
right. But then there's some of their other sets, and it's just I would want them all as a Halo fan, but to get them all, it would be upwards of $2,000.
Yeah, well, that's why you only buy a few here and there, see if you really like them. Mega Bloks, their quality is right there with Lego, and they are less expensive than Lego. Personally, I think their minifigures completely blow Lego out of the water because of their articulation, their sculpt, their detail. And again, comparatively in price, they are less than Lego in just about every instance. That Forward Unto Dawn set that you talked about, though, like I said, that is an exception, but it is an exceptional set too, though. You can see a review on my site. Let me plug that.
Oh, yeah.
Getting back to the mission.
Yeah, so getting back to the mission. This is the one for, I mean, if you probably saw this before you even played it, but this is the mission where you're going up against Covenant. You have to go across the bridge and you're trying to interrupt their dig wherever they're doing, because it's just right on the other side of this bridge in kind of a off cove area. So you start spawning off in one of the lava flow areas. You run down, take out some grunts and some elites, and then you have to activate the power cord so you can activate the switches to open the doors on the bridge, and then you go through, take out all the Covenant there, and at that point, Infinity radios in. It's like they're really putting up a real fight here. They're obviously wanting to defend whatever they're digging for, which means that, of course, you're interested, and your job is to make sure that you get whatever they're digging for first.
Right.
In true UNSC fashion. So after you fight your way through the doors, there's gonna be there's a shield that you have to hit a switch for to deactivate and get into the dig site. Once you do that, you get
Yep.
You get Prometheans. I thought you were about to say something. This was
No.
Okay.
Just that. Now you got to do Prometheans.
So you get to do Prometheans. So this is building on kind of what we're doing before in the progressional state. This is the part where we see now you're going to be fighting Covenant and Prometheans in the same environment. And I still don't get this line because we saw it in the campaign, but whenever we see the Prometheans pop up, Spartan Palmer comes on the radio and says, "Oh, there's Prometheans working with Covenant? That's not good." It's like they were doing that before you even left Requiem in the first place.
Yeah.
It's like, what did you expect things to change over 6 months? Really?
I don't know.
Sorry, I
guess
found that one a little off.
Yeah, it is. I guess you could say that the what happened in the campaign, I mean, that happened very quickly. So there really wasn't a whole lot of time to ascertain that was going to be a situation that would continue. Of course, we assumed that, but if you look at it from an in-game character perspective, maybe they didn't assume that was going to continue, or who knows? Once the didact is gone, maybe things would change. Who knows? But anyways, I agree with you though. Yeah, it was kind of weird. Like you didn't know that already?
Yeah. So once you defeat all the Prometheans, you go up, hit a switch, and this thing magically kind of appears. Some mysterious Promethean or Forerunner black box.
Yep.
So once that pops up, there's a few more Prometheans that spawn out of the ground that you have to hold off against until your Pelican comes in to get you evac'd out of the site. One other thing to note on this chapter is the Rooster Teeth Easter egg.
Yeah, I was going to say that if you didn't.
Yeah. So once you get to the bridge, right after you activate the power cord to activate the switches, look over the bridge opposite of where you first came up it, and you'll see a little box. You want to shoot
down the lava too.
Yeah, so down by the lava. You don't want to jump down there. You want to stay up on the bridge.
Yeah.
You will die. But shoot that box with anything. As long as you get it hit on it, then it'll activate it, and you'll hear the little opening sound bit. Yeah, the down that goes with all their RVB episodes. So once you hear that noise, you know the egg has been activated. And the egg on this one is when you hear Spartan Palmer, like after you get past the doors, you hear Spartan Palmer call into Castle Base. And instead of Castle Base, you hear Caboose. And he's like, well, the regular radio guy isn't here right now.
Yeah, it's funny.
And it happens twice.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 3 times. I think it's just twice, though. Once after you get past the bridge doors, and then once when you're at the very end after you have the artifact where she's trying to radio into Castle Base to get them an evac.
Right.
So, stats.
Okay, again, this one's good for crawlers, regular crawlers. 28 kills there. And again, a good one for grunts, 19 storm grunts, 15 imperial grunts, and then everything else is kind of small numbers for. So get your crawlers and your grunts.
Cool. For achievements for this episode of Spartan Ops, this one is for all 5 chapters. There are some ones that are going to be chapter specific, but for this one, it's all chapters. And the achievement for this one is called a legendary episode for 40 gamer score. And what you have to do, complete all chapters in episode 1 on legendary. That can be solo or it can be co-op. It doesn't matter. As long as you get them all done on legendary, you will get this achievement.
Right. It's pretty easy to do co-op. So
oh, yeah.
That's something I definitely would suggest. Of course, if you're looking for a challenge, then by all means, go for it solo.
Indeed. All right, that pretty much covers episode 1 of Spartan Ops. Any final remarks before we wrap this one up?
No, other than the fact that I am completely happy with Spartan Ops. I'm glad 343 made it. I was going to miss...
Is this the part where you reference Walking Dead?
What's that?
Is this the part where you reference Walking Dead being an episodic thing?
Well, it wasn't, but now that you mention it... Yeah. What POD Duststorm is talking about here is the fact that Walking Dead won Game of the Year, and it's considered an episodic game. And it's actually good that they won. So Halo 4 wasn't up for it. We're talking about the VGAs in specific here.
Right.
Halo 4 wasn't up for Game of the Year. So for The Walking Dead to win, and it being an episodic game, it bears... something very good for Spartan Ops, because Spartan Ops, while not the exact same as Walking Dead, is considered an episodic game. And with Walking Dead winning, it gives Spartan Ops some legs. It gives it an opportunity to say, hey, people want this kind of gaming. People like to have new content every week. I know Walking Dead is maybe, I think it's once a month their episodes are. But here with Spartan Ops, every week having a mission, even with the break that we're in now between episode 5 and episode 6, still, it was great to have continuing episodes with not only the CG stuff, but then having 5 missions a week to work on. I used to I've been getting them done in one day, but still, the replayability for these, at least for me, is high. I enjoy going in and playing these missions over and over again. Of course, I also like to work on commendations. So this is something that, I can do if I don't have any friends on in particular. It's something I can pop into real quick and do a mission in 5 minutes to up to 10 minutes, depending on what mission I choose. And just have a blast. You don't have to worry about playing against people. So it's not like you have to try as hard. It's more, I think is a more of a fun factor to it. Not that it's not fun playing war games, mind you, but I think you get what I mean. It's a different feeling. So yeah, it's a good thing that that other game won, and it gives them the opportunity for Spartan Ops to continue past the 10 episodes that are already drawn up for. And I certainly hope that we get that because for me, 10 episodes just isn't going to be enough. I really want
Well, they've pretty much already said that they're doing a second season.
Yeah.
David Ellis said that at some point. It's a matter of whether or not they're going to do more seasons afterwards, which, I mean, I'm really enjoying it. I've said this before, I'd like to see a little more character development on Sarah Palmer.
Sure. See her on the battlefield, damn it.
And, well, it looks like from the trailer that we got, we may see it.
Hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. So, by the time we have all of these episodes done, the next set of episodes will be at episodes 6 through 10. Mm-hmm. So, the turnaround time on those will probably be a little bit quicker than 2 months after the game came out.
Right. Well, this is a good opportunity, though, because it gives us the chance to go over this. It'll be back fresh on people's minds, and we're working our way right up to episode 6 again.
So this will be good. One last thing before we go, guys, is that HaloFanForLife is actually kind of doing this in conjunction with our podcast. So we're kind of in, well, it's not an official agreement, but we're kind of in this agreement where
it's official enough to me.
We're doing the podcast, and then he's going to be doing companion articles, however you want to define that.
Yeah, I call them, they're called mission by missions. Or mission by mission, and it's just that. The articles that I post are mission specific. I actually have the first one up and the second one, but I think I might be updating those with a little bit more information. But those articles go into greater detail about what enemies you'll face, where you'll face them, where you'll find weapons, where to camp at on the maps. Because, yes, camping is a legitimate strategy, and certainly in Spartan Ops, you definitely want to do that for some reason.
Yep.
So, listen to the podcast. Come and check out my site for the HaloFanForLife.com for my take on Spartan Ops, some tactics, and so on. There's some good graphics here. The maps are there, so you can view the maps. I actually have an arrowed line, like a dashed line, that shows the paths that I normally take, so you can get an idea. Mind you, you don't have to take those paths. It's just something that I do, and you might find that you might like the same kind of play style that I go through on these missions. So, and then after that, of course, come back to Podtacular and check out the video walkthrough. So you really get a well-rounded base for Spartan Ops via the podcasts, the articles, and then the video walkthroughs.
Indeed. Are there heat maps for Spartan Ops? Like overheads?
There's overheads, yes. Actually, and this is something I wanted to mention earlier. I don't normally plug other kinds of things, but in this one instance, I want to. Prima Games came out with a strategy guide for Halo 4, and I picked it up. Now, I got mine for like $20 off of Amazon during a sale. I didn't get it right away. I got this actually maybe a couple weeks ago. I have to tell you, this by far is the best guide I've ever gotten. And the cool thing is, when you buy this guide, wherever you get it from, it comes with 10 cards that show the initial 10 war games maps. And the good thing is they're coded, so you could use a grease pencil on them if you wanted to write on them, and it's got all the call outs. But as far as
I actually have a set of those from MLG Dallas.
There you go. Now, as far as how it pertains to Spartan Ops, though, everything's in the book. But the good thing is this also comes with a code. This book comes with a code that you can go to Prima Games, and you enter that code, and it gives you then direct access to the book in digital form.
You gotta be! Oh my!
No, it's and it's no extra cost.
I may be buying this tonight. Then
have to buy it, dude. You have to buy it.
Did they do that for the previous Halo games?
I don't believe so. Not like this. Not like this. So because of that, they give you the whole book digitally. Now you've got all the Spartan Ops maps that you can download for yourself and take a look at them from overhead and decide, as you play them, you can say, well, this might be a good place to go, or this is where I went and this is where I fought that, and that's what I put in my articles. I actually take their maps. I add some additional graphics to it. Like I said, again, the path that I take, camping spots that work for me, why I go to these positions and so on. And I give notations of that during my articles. So
I'm sold.
Oh, yeah. In fact, hold on a second. This book goes normally for $30. So I would say look on Amazon and other places, and you could find it for cheaper. I got it for $20. It's completely worth it. The book itself, even if it didn't have this other stuff, is worth it. But because you can get this digitally, it's the same book digitally, completely worth it. It's awesome. So again, I don't normally plug other things, but this, absolutely. Spartan Ops, it works great for war games, campaign. It's got everything you want. And as far as it pertains to what we're doing here, man, you can't go wrong.
Sounds great. All right. Well, with that said, we are going to wrap this one up. Thanks again to HaloFanForLife for being on. And make sure you check out his site for his write-ups, and then we'll post a video hopefully shortly after this gets released to kind of do our video walkthrough, and then we will see you all in our next episode.
See ya!